Hi, Matt. I was looking forward to talking to you.
It was so clear to me that this is just about basically one person talking to another.
We all have the same excitements, passion, demons, procrastination.
I've been cursed and blessed with an overactive imagination.
MattLees Gets Creative contains themes and subjects that may not be suitable for everyone listening. If you're easily offended, we suggest that you get your podcast on elsewhere.
Right here, right now, on MattLees Gets Creative.
The director was famous by that time, and so again, it's you're going into a set and you don't know what's going on, and they either welcome you and make you relax, or you're uptight and you got to rely on your paranoia.
My guest this week on MattLees Gets Creative is the wonderfully talented Larry Hankin, who's a comedian, an actor, a writer, and a director with a career spanning over 30 years. Let me just drop just a few for you. Home Alone, Billy Madison, Seinfeld, Friends. Need I go on? Probably not. I knew when I started this podcast I'd get to talk to interesting, creative people, but I never would have thought I would have enjoyed a conversation as much as this one. So thank you to Larry for joining me. Please don't forget to follow us on social media, which is ML Gets Creative for Twitter and Instagram. And please don't forget to listen, like, and subscribe, and tell your friends, and maybe even leave a review. Oh, and thanks for listening. Firstly, I want to say thank you so much for taking time to chat with me on this podcast. It is really a great pleasure to speak to you.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a great pleasure to be spoken to. So thank you, Matt.
Yeah. So the theme of the show is MattLees Gets Creative. So I'm a musician, and every episode I talk to other creative types, be it actors, writers, directors, painters, other musicians, dancers. You get the point. All manner of creative types to see what our respective journeys
are
like.
Well, I'm glad to be in that. I'm glad to be in that group.
Oh, thank you. I mean, it's really cool. And for myself, especially with yourself, you were one of those wonderful actors where you were in so many things that I loved that it took me some time to sort of connect that they were all you. And I mean that in an extremely complimentary way, especially as an actor.
Wow.
You know? But so many of my favorite things, I can go back over the past and think, and there you are. So such a long career for yourself, and you've had parts in seemingly everything. Where did it all start for you? The love of acting.
Well, where did it start? The fact that I was brought up in I guess you're kind of born creative. I'm assuming that some people, I don't know, because there was no creativity in my growing up at all. My parents were kind of anti-intelligence. I mean, they were smart people, but they didn't know it. They didn't care. There was no books to read. There was no music playing in the house. But what they did was, I was always curious. So once I guess I got out of the house, which means after I graduated Syracuse as an industrial designer, because I was just going to school and doing things that my parents told me to do. I was a good kid, I tried to be a good kid. So once I got out of, and I was always kind of a secret rebel. I wasn't outward, but like I was a pyromaniac when I was a kid. I was really into fire, man. I set a lot of fires, and some were kind of big. So there was an anger or something in me that wasn't being properly addressed. So finally, when I got out of college, I just screw it. Screw the business world. Screw everything. I just I became a stand-up comedian because I didn't care about anything. I guess that was it. So well, okay. Carl Gottlieb was my best friend in college. It turned out that Carl Gottlieb later in his life wrote Jaws. So he was a pretty cool guy all along. I didn't ever knew he was going to be a cool writer. But we graduated Syracuse together, and then we just got a apartment in Greenwich Village. So he was the creative force in my life. I went to Far Rockaway High. I lived in Long Island. There was nothing in my background until I went to college, when I started to get into theater. I started to, and that's when Carl and I started palling around. So that's how I started by meeting Carl and the art department. Although I was in the industrial design department, I started to be attracted to the theater and hanging around there. And then I finally, I got thrown out of college because I just didn't care, which is not cool. I'm not bragging about it, but that's what happened.
Right.
And so I weaseled myself. I talked myself back into getting back into college because I didn't want to go home and tell my parents that, I was kicked out of college. So that meant that Carl and I graduated at the same time, luckily, and we took an apartment in Greenwich Village. He started to write right away. He was a writer. And I just hung around, bussing tables, cleaning restaurants, bars at night, and I started to be a stand-up comedian because while I was waiting, I had to make money from my end of the rent. And I would hang around Greenwich Village. That's where we lived. And I was going to just all the coffee houses. Yeah. And they were the hotbeds of all the creativity of the 60s, pretty much. England had something to do with it. But I started to see the stand-up comedians, and I thought, no, I'm a funny guy. I was a funny guy in high school. I can do that. And basically, the truth was I couldn't do that in the beginning. I was really awful.
Right.
But I got really, really better really fast. That was a learning curve that I could handle. And I started to open for no matter a couple of months, I started to open for Woody Allen, and then Miles Davis, the Kingston Trio, the Love and Spoonful. So all of a sudden, I was in the middle of the 60s. All these rock bands wanted me to open for them. Mm-hmm. So that's how I started. But the downside of that was I still had that anger in me, and my anger came out in my comedy, which was like Lenny Bruce and Richie Pryor and George Carlin when they really started to find their way and become who they were going to become. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't take the heat. I was being taken off the stage by cops and stuff. I was opening for the Love and Spoonful in Washington University in St. Louis, and a big, huge arena show for the Love and Spoonful at the time, beginning of the 60s. And cops took me off the stage. I was talking about God and marijuana, and I think I said bad words on stage. So my manager was Woody's manager at the time, and he just said, "Hey, if you can't take the heat, you're really funny. You should join Second City. They own the theater. Nobody can take you off the stage." I mean, I had people coming at me with beer bottles and stuff, and get off the stage. We want the Kingston Trio. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it. So that's the beginning.
Yeah. Now, I don't ever want to get too philosophical, but where do you ever think about where maybe that anger came from for you?
Where what came from?
Where the anger, that built up anger inside you. Did you ever think back to where that came from?
Oh yeah, my father. I mean, he was an angry man. I'm laughing at it now, but sure. He was a fearful man when I was growing up. Yeah, he would beat me, with a belt. He nearly harmed my sister really badly by hitting her. My mother had to stop him. It was bad. It was not a cool household to be in.
And
So that's where it came from. And I didn't have any outlet until I got away from it.
Yeah. Well, so then you find yourself at a legendary place in Chicago. Was the comedy club, was it as big as it is now back then, if that question makes sense?
No, it was famous. I mean, everybody knew about Second City. This was in the early '60s, so it was fairly famous. But not until SNL, so Saturday Night Live, started using them on late night. Saturday Night Live, using Second City people, that they really became famous. I was there before then, but I was there between Mike Nichols and Elaine May and the SNL people who finally got on. Yes, I was right in between there. Mm-hmm. I was on with a lot of famous people, but yeah, it was fairly famous, and I knew, and my manager knew. I was Jack Rollins. He knew about them, and he knew that since I was as funny as he thought I was. I mean, he really respected my sense of humor. He liked it, but he said, "I can't put you on television. Woody Woody was being put on television, and I was opening for him, but I couldn't get on television, and that was the bar." He said, "Look, I can't get you on television. You're talking about you're cursing, and I'm kind of kept on saying, yeah, but I'm not Lenny Bruce. I don't do the drugs and stuff, and I'm not as angry as he is, or as funny, man. But I was going down that path really fast." And he said, "Join Second City, then you can do all that stuff, and you don't have to worry." So it was good advice, but that's kind of acting. I mean, kind of. It's not really, but it's kind of.
Yeah.
So that kind of got me. And then finally, again, the outsider, a couple of us outsiders, Alan Meyerson in particular was the director at Second City. He got 6 of us together and said, "Hey, let's get out of here. Let's go to San Francisco and start our own theater," because he didn't like being put under the wings of Viola Spolin and Paul Sills, who owned the company, and they were great. But he wanted to do his own thing. He wanted it to be more political, more angry, more funny.
Yeah.
He wanted to be more funny, more satirical. So we all split to 6 of us, split to San Francisco, opened up the committee, and we became as famous as pretty much as famous, because there was a big thing between Second City and the committee. Right, kind of a happy rivalry in a way, because it helped both of us as in the box office. And then because we were in San Francisco, and we wanted to stay there, I wanted to stay there, but everybody, a lot of LA people started to come up to San Francisco because we were so kind of famous on the West Coast, that they would fly up. In those days, you could fly up to San Francisco and back for a round-trip ticket of, I think, $15. That was So it was like nothing. They would just fly up. They would watch the show, stay overnight, go to a couple of restaurants and fly back. It was like a little day off, Mm-hmm. So, but we were being seen by a lot of people in the movies because they would fly up. And I was seen by Penny Marshall, among other people. But she was the one who called me down and said, "Hey, get Larry Hankin down here. I want to do a scene with him," which was a physical comedy scene. And she saw on the stage as me and the committee that I was a physical comedian, really is, and also I would say funny things. But she wanted the physicality of it, so she got me down there, and then I got to tape it through that, and boom, and I'm an actor now, and I moved down. That couch surfed for a while, and then I started to make money and got my own apartment, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't like being an actor, and I never wanted to be an actor. I never thought about it. I thought about being a stand-up comedian, being funny. So that was cool in Second City and the Committee. But the money was so good. I mean, in the theater, you're not getting, you can't support a family well at all, being in the theater only, especially in the beginning. So the salary was good, and sitcoms. I did a lot of sitcoms. But it wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't what I wanted to do. First of all, it wasn't coming out of my own head. Right. Even at least in the Second City and the Committee, I was doing my stuff in somebody else's theater with a group of a lot of people who were doing the stuff in their head. And the rules of improv were such that everybody when you pool your heads together in a scene, it's really funny. And that was great. So I was being used, I was contributing, and I didn't want to leave, but the salary was so cool. And so I never liked anything I was doing. Right. I mean, as good as you think I was, and I was good. I watch it now and I go, oh yeah, no, that kid's got talent. He's all right. But no, I never saw it that way. I just thought, I'm not doing what I want to do. So I was making enough money where I could, start making my own little films. And so that's really where I started to become a better actor in movies, because I was editing my own little films and seeing myself, and I could not direct myself well, but I could watch myself being good or bad and make some judgments that way. And it was, out of my head. Again, I was writing the scripts, and it was my money, and, it was my friends, and that was cool. I thought, yeah, and so I related it all to rock and roll, which is what got me started. The coffee houses, and then the rock and roll groups that came through Greenwich Village and were playing the other, theaters around there. They saw me, the rock and roll kids, the rock and roll bands, they saw me, and they wanted me to open their shows for them in the beginning of the 60s. And so that was kind of how I formed my picture of where I belonged in show business, doing my own thing, but in a band. And that later became, I see, a small little company of a singer-songwriter. Mm-hmm. I would be an actor writer, making movies instead of records. So that's what my image came to. Wait a minute, I could be an actor if I wrote my own stuff and did my own movies. So the reason I did did shorts was it's cheaper, a lot cheaper. To raise money for a feature film was beyond my technical business sense. I wasn't a businessman, and raising money was not I'm not a schmoozer. I'm not a talker, So I just would save up money, my own salary from these sitcoms, and I'd make my own thing. And I was thinking, this is like a rock and roll band, like a garage band. Mm-hmm. That's what I had in mind. Actually, the Ramones were. Yeah. that was it. We're going to be the Ramones.
It's one of those.
And so,
sorry, it's one of those recurring themes that I get when I talk to all manner of artists is sometimes, even though it's within the art realm, we have to do stuff that maybe that's not really our preference or not really what we want to do, but it allows us to fund and feed the stuff that we really do want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was using my salaries. I was using the professional acting in L.A. at the majors as an ATM for my movies.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. I would take a job even though I don't want to, and I go, but I have rent and I can save up my movie. And that's how I made Solly's Diner, which got an Academy Award nomination.
That's right.
It took me a year to save up money. We shot it in little stages, But first I saved up money to shoot 3 days. And then we needed another day to shoot, so I had to save up a little more money to finish it. And then we had to shut down while I made some money so we could go into post-production. And then we had to shut it down because we ran out of money for post. And then I had to save up some more money. So it took about a year from the time that, I first rehearsed with my actors, my two other actors, and till we handed it in. And I didn't even want to hand it in because I didn't know. I thought my theory was, I don't know where I picked it up. I just made it up. But I thought if I wanted to get an Academy Award, I was making these little films. I said, someday I'm going to make a big film and I'll get an Academy Award. But I thought, I got to be careful because I didn't want to hand in a small film and get it rejected, not entered into the Academy. Because I thought that if you get rejected once in the Academy, it was so big and so exclusive that you could never hand anything else in again. I don't know where I got that. So I didn't want to hand in Sally's Diner, which got the Academy nomination, because I thought it wasn't good enough.
Right.
I mean, we screened it in a porno movie theater, in the middle of two porno movies, because you have to have it screened in a professional movie theater within the boundaries of Los Angeles.
Right.
For the film short to be eligible, and in the Academy, when they're picking it and choosing, everybody in LA has a film short they want to hand in. So all the movie theaters in the entire city of Los Angeles, in the boundaries, were booked with film shorts, and we try to get in. No, we don't have any room. We got 3 film shorts we're showing. I'm sorry, we got a movie to show. We got scheduled. So we couldn't. So the only theater that would accept us was a porno theater, and that was legal for the Academy. It's a paying movie theater. They show movies, yeah. So it wasn't color corrected, and I brought my date, my girlfriend. I was just trying to impress her. But hey, they're showing my movie in a real movie theater. Why don't you come and see it? So, oh yeah, that'd be great. And she said, "This is a porno movie." I go, yeah, don't worry about it. But it was kind of embarrassing. It really was, because the theater was filled with not many people, a lot of guys, and if not in overcoat, mentally they were in overcoats.
Yeah.
And they were just scattered around. It was a lot of single guys. It was interesting because I wasn't there for the porny. I was there for my film. So I was, and this is fascinating. What a social, experiment this is. But since my film wasn't color corrected yet, and it was in between 2 porno movies, everybody else in the theater, all these guys, because that's who were there, thought, here's a film. Here's the next porno movie. So they're watching my movie, which is about just a small time, silly, funny robbery in a diner, Sally's Diner, with 3 people, and it's just funny as a waitress and 2 guys. You could see them waiting for, when is somebody gonna fuck the waitress, or what's going on? And they're waiting and they're waiting, and all of a sudden, about 9 minutes long. And you could see the realization somewhere in their lizard brain, wait a minute, nobody's going to get undressed in this. I sense it. You just see kind of a deflation in the seating.
Yeah.
It's just kind of sinking. I don't know. It was just you could tell. It was, they just got it. This is not going to be pornographic at all. So at the end of it, no claps, no laughter, because the tension of when is somebody going to take her clothes off, that they didn't laugh at anything. And then it was over. There's this dead silence, and it wasn't color corrected from my point of view. And my girlfriend is embarrassed, and she's saying, "What the hell are you taking me to?" And it was awful. It was awful. So when the cinematographer handed it in against my wishes, no, it's not good enough. We'll never be able to hand anything again. He said, no, it's fine, man. I said, no. So he did it against my will, actually. I told him, no, don't, man. Because I didn't know how to hand it in or anything. I had hired a producer him and the producer and me were the producers. So it was in their hands, and they just said, fuck Hankin, we're going to hand this in. This is cool. So they did, and it turned out really well. So I'm glad that they didn't listen to me. Which is kind of a lesson about being righteous and right. Thank God I was wrong, totally wrong. I mean, I was wrong in another thing in the movie. In the last shot, we were gaining the light because it's a night shoot, and the front window of the diner was like facing the sun, and the sun is coming up at like 5:30 in the morning, and we're losing the light. So we only had we had 3 shots left, and we couldn't do it. So, which in all movies, you have to think fast. So the cinematographer says, okay, I can do it in 1 shot. Let me do it. And I said, no, it's got to be 3 shots. So we're fighting. And he said, okay, we're losing the light. We can't argue. Walk around the block. You're freaking out my crew with your shouting at me. So walk around the block, and I'll set it up. We'll do the 3 shots. Okay. So I said, fine. And I walked around the block, and when I got back, he had set up his 1 shot. And he said, there's no time. We can't change it. So that, again, it was a great shot. I'm glad he told me to walk around the block. So, yeah, I have a thing about being righteous. I was a lesson I learned. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I slip, but every time I'm righteous, it bites me in the ass.
Yeah. It's another important lesson. It's another important lesson to learn as artists is to listen to the artists that you're collaborating with, because.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, he knew, do your job. They do their job. That's the great thing about sets that I've been on is I am in awe. Of the stars. They're stars for a reason, and that's why they're called that. But they're just really professional actors. But the crew, man, especially on Barry, when I did Barry recently, that was the most together crew I've ever seen. I was really amazed. And, I've been around. I've been on professional crews. They're all, some of them are really great. I'm just in awe. But they were all on the same page. And it's a great show, and that's one of the reasons. Just how everybody is together on it. So Bill Hader must be a great director.
It needs to run like a sport team, doesn't it? It needs to run like a sports team, doesn't it?
I guess so. I mean, I don't know about the analogy. Yeah, I mean, it's a team thing, but even when things were going bad, and I'm saying, well, we can't get the shot. Let's, the adjustment. You always make the adjustment. Even then, they were all together on it. It was a great atmosphere. I guess it was. I guess in the end, it's all about me. Each actor. I felt comfortable among these people. Mm-hmm. I felt like whatever I'm doing is safe. If I'm not doing the right thing, they'll get me there in the right way. I just felt, so that's why I'm saying they're great.
Yeah.
It's because I felt totally okay.
Yeah.
That's very important on a set for,
Yeah.
Because you're out there kind of naked,
Sure.
Especially the part that I was, So yeah. That's the way it was.
Yeah, well,
back in the day.
I imagine, especially walking onto a set as an actor, coming in just for say a few weeks or even just one day, you must have that intimidation factor walking onto those sets of running like clockwork. This show's been going for years, and now you're in here to do one day. You must have both good and bad. You must have good and bad experiences with that.
In Breaking Bad, I was in such awe of Bryan Cranston. Mm-hmm. That I frightened, really, and that's. I was hearing Betty White talking about being nervous, stage fright, that kind of thing, and she was saying that there's a good part to it because it heightens your. Man, I'm so fearful. I better be on my top of my game. It kind of gets you, set. It prepares you. If you didn't prepare, you thought you weren't prepared. So I was. It was the exact opposite on Breaking Bad. I was See, I was a fan of Breaking Bad when I got the job. So I was in awe of everything. But I did a good job, and then at the end, because I wasn't fired. That was all I was thinking of on Breaking Bad. I don't want to get fired.
Right.
I just don't want to get fired. That was my whole motivation of my paranoia. Let's just keep it together. But at the end of, I think, the first day of shooting, or in the middle of the day, I wasn't finished yet, an AD or somebody came over to me and said, they're thinking about bringing you back for another show. And that kind of relaxed me. I thought,
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
So that kind of relaxed me, and then I was cool. But yeah, and since Barry hadn't been on the air yet, I don't think. I don't think. Yeah, he wasn't. It wasn't on the air yet, right? Because I had to wait. So I was in the second show or the third show, right? And they were going to shoot on Barry. They were going to shoot 6 before it ever went on the air. So I was in the third show they were shooting. So there was no awe. It was, I knew Bill Hader's work. I thought he was good, on Saturday Night Live. Brilliant, as a matter of fact. So I was very happy to be directed by him or work with him or whatever he wanted to do. I respected him. But there wasn't this awe of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
So, but it was a very hard acting job because I'm really not an actor. I mean, a lot of people say I'm an actor and I do acting stuff and I act, but I'm not an actor. I'm a stand-up comedian. I'm pretending. I'm a good pretender. I mean, I don't do backstories and stuff like that. However, for Barry, I did. That was the first time I ever did any kind of free, acting preparation kind of stuff in advance, building a character, because I was so frightened of the part.
Right.
Because it was an acting job. I mean, this guy had to come in. As a matter of fact, Bill Hader, after I'd done the thing that was on the air, Bill Hader in a New Yorker commercial mentioned my character as something that he had his eye on as an important character for his character, because he said that my character was part of his backstory of his character, in that in Bill Hader's mind, he didn't want to have his character end up like mine did. Right. So he kept that in mind for his character. And that was kind of, thank God he didn't tell me that before I went on. That
would have been a bit too much pressure, I think.
Oh, man. Yeah, listen, Larry, now you got to do this because my character has part of you. But no, I read it late. So it was kind of nice that I didn't screw up his backstory. That was kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean,
so,
you mentioned intimidating projects and intimidating sets. I mean, you've been on a little bit of everything. You've worked with some incredible comedic actors and actors. My mind immediately jumps to Home Alone, for example. Iconic moment. I mean, such a very small moment in Home Alone as far as actual screen time, but what an iconic role.
Well, okay, I tell you, talk about relaxing and paranoia and stuff. Okay, there's a reason for that.
We'll head right back to our conversation. I know, we all hate ads on our podcasts, but indulge me, if you will, just for a moment. Here at MLGC, we've started a patron program, but it's not like many of the other programs that you hear about, and that's for one special reason. And that reason is, it's all for a great cause. See, during Season 1, we donated half of all our patron donations to the Velindre Cancer Centre right here in South Wales. It's a fantastic hospital run by amazing people that are saving lives every day, including my own. For Season 2, we wanted to step things up, so I'm glad to let you know that from here on out, we're donating 100%. That's each and every penny we receive through our kind supporters to the Velindre Cancer Centre. Sure, we could use the funds towards the cost of running a show, but we wanted to do more with your kind donations, so we're paying it forward. If you'd like to help out, you can join the Creative Club and it's $5 a month. You'll get access to exclusive episodes, a chance to submit questions in advance for upcoming guests, and you'll have the knowledge that you're helping me help others. I know everyone can't afford to donate to every cause, no matter how worthy they are. But if you are looking to spread some love, like our dear friend and supporter, the patron saint of podcasters, Librarian Kate, then we'd love to have you be a part of it. Check it out at patron.podbean.com/MattLees Gets Creative. That's patron.podbean.com/MattLees Gets Creative. Join the Creative Club and help us battle cancer one podcast at a time. I just came up with that last part on the fly. That's pretty good.
Well, okay, I tell you, talk about relaxing and paranoia and stuff. Okay, there's a reason for that. And as a matter of fact, the reason is why you like that part. I believe. There's no way to tell that. I think it was Daniel, the co-star now is Joe Pesci, and
Daniel Stern.
Somebody. Yeah, Daniel Stern. So I get a call. Now I had worked for John, the director. I had worked for the director of that movie, Home Alone. Mm-hmm. I worked for him previously. And so I get a call from my agent saying, hey, blah, blah, blah called. His people had called. They want you for his next movie, Home Alone, but if you're going to accept this part, you're going to have to leave tonight. I go, whoa, that's weird. What's going on? And they said, well, Daniel Stern, who is the co-star with Joe Pesci, is holding out for more money, and they don't want to pay him more money. So there's a good chance he's going to quit. And they've already started shooting 1 or 2 days. So they're thinking of firing him, and they need a replacement immediately to reshoot those 2 days so they can get back on schedule immediately. So they're negotiating right now, today, and we will have an answer by 7:00 tonight. And you got to get on a plane because you got to shoot tomorrow, at least a small scene, nothing major where you have to memorize lines. And you got to be on a plane tonight. So pack your stuff. And he told me this, pack your stuff, put your bag behind the couch and just sit by the phone. They be co-star with Joe Pesci. So I go, cool, man, this is amazing. So I'm totally stoked.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting by the phone. I even put my bag next to the couch because he told me to. I'm being good. I'm being right on. So I'm waiting there, and then I get a call, and he said, "No, Daniel Stern caved. It's over. You're not. Forget it. I'm back. It's not going to happen." I was totally depressed. Okay, fine. About 3 weeks later, I get a call. I said, "Larry, this is amazing, but here's what's going on." I think it was. Was Daniel Stern in the first one or the second one? I think was he in the first one or the second one?
Daniel Stern is in both.
I think I'm in both. Okay.
Yeah.
So I get a call. And he said, "Okay, here's what's going on. They feel so bad." This is the producers. My agent is saying about the producers of Home Alone and the director. So they just called us. My agent. They just called and they said they really feel bad about setting you up for that letdown because they realized what they were doing to me.
Yeah.
Hey, tell him he's going to be a co-star. No, he's not. So they really felt bad about that because they respected my acting. Is what they said. It's, you don't like to do that to actors, but it was a lot of money involved and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So here's what they suggested. There's only one part. They want you to be in the movie. Just as a good luck for them, because they don't want to send out bad karma. This is what they're telling me. Mm-hmm. I've never heard of producers talking about karma. But He said, so, but it's a small part, and it's kind of an insult because you were up for the co-star, and this is like a one little thing. And what they were talking about was that little cop scene with me eating the donut.
Mm-hmm.
They said, so what they're willing to do, want you in the movie, just for them. They want you in the movie, so what they're going to do is they're going to pay you $10,000 for 5 lines. They're going to fly you first class. They're going to send a chauffeur limousine there and back on both ends, and you can, and they will put you on a flight, and you can fly in to, one night. No, fly in the morning to Chicago, shoot 5 lines, and you can sleep in your own bed, all for first class limos and $10,000. Do you want to do it? And I said, you bet I want to do that.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? So I said, sure, yeah, wow, how nice. Which blew my mind. So talk about, okay, there's no paranoia. You know, wow, they want me that much. That's so cool. So I fly there, and they're waiting for me. You know, the limousine takes me right to the set. They're all set. They got the set for me. They're waiting for me because they want to get me back on the plane and shoot me out and get me back so I can sleep in my own bed. Because that's, you know, they want to hit all the stations of their cross, their promise.
Yeah.
So I walked in, it's all set, and they're treating me like a star, man. You know, you just sit there and, you know. So as soon as I showed up on the set, the producer, one of the producers comes over to me and said, okay, Larry, so you're all set. Just get in the cop uniform. You're going to be here. You're going to be on the phone. You're going to say these lines. Now, do you want anything? Do you need anything that a prop department? What do you want? What do you want to do? How do you want to shoot this? So I never had anybody, you know, ask me those kind of questions. You know, stand over there and say your lines. So I go, well, I'd like to be eating a donut. So they go, right, okay. So they say, get some donuts for Larry. Okay, so while I'm changing into my costume, I come back and all set, and I'm sitting there, and they wheel in this baker's cart of about 100 donuts. You know, those carts they wheel around when they, you know, it's tiered, and they got just donuts, glazed donuts, and about, you know, I don't know, 25, 30, it's 6 feet high of donuts on this wheeling baker's cart. And they go, is this enough, Larry? They go, yeah, that's fine, sure. Okay, give me one. So take one. Now, here's what happens. I get on the phone and I take a bite of the donut. I talk and I eat half of the donut while I'm talking, and I put it down. That's in the rehearsal. And I actually eat the donut in the rehearsal. Okay, fine. Here's another donut, Larry. So now they're going to shoot it. And if you'll notice, it's a tracking shot. It goes past me. I believe it goes past me, but it's a moving camera, a tracking shot as it goes past me. And they couldn't get it right. The camera kept fucking up. It was either too fast, too slow. One time a light blew in the middle of the shot. So they had to shoot it for one reason, nothing to do with me or the donut, but 10 times. So I had eaten now about 10 donuts. Because, you know, after one, I would just finish the donut, you know. All right, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so on this one on the 11th take, and this, by the way, this cart of glazed donuts, very important glazed donuts, it was standing right next to the set, right next to me. It was just off camera range, but it was lit by the lights of the set for my scene. So the lights were on this baker's thing the whole time, all 11 shots, which takes a long time for them to reset. So, you know, it's an hour, 2 hours. And so on the 11th shot, I take a bite, I finish the scene, and all of a sudden, when the director says cut, the entire crew and everybody watching breaks up laughing. And I go, what the hell is going on? Why is everybody laughing? And the director says, let me show you what happened. And he shows me my scene. And it turns out that the glazed donuts were under the lights so much that the glaze started to melt. And then it's on the 11th shot, when I took a bite, a little piece dropped off and stuck the glaze, stuck the piece to the phone. And he said, that's the shot we're using. So it turned out cool.
Yeah.
But think about, it was just a mistake. But because of the lights and because of the 10 times, the donut had enough, light to melt.
Yeah.
But also the fact that I was totally relaxed. And in other words, everything came together again. I wasn't paranoid, but there was, I was in a movie with Joe Pesci. Not that he was on the set at the time, but I was in a movie where he was in some, and the director was famous by that time. And so, again, you're going into a set and you don't know what's going on, and they either welcome you and make you relax, or you're uptight and you got to rely on your paranoia and stage fright or whatever you call it, flop sweat, whatever you call it, to get you through your adrenaline. So it's each set is really different, and it's like meeting different people. You just gotta roll with it.
Yeah, well, that donut moment is perfect. I mean, you couldn't write it. The fact that it sticks to the phone.
Could I have pulled it off if they did write it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's such a perfect moment with this cop who kind of really doesn't really give a damn, and then he doesn't even really notice that the donut sticks to the phone. Like, it's just a perfect moment. So
and I didn't even know it. Yeah, thank God I didn't notice it. I didn't know. Now, a lot of interesting things happen by mistake. Capturing lightning in a bottle, they call it.
Yeah.
I did that in another thing where I didn't realize something was happening until, I saw the rushes and I go, oh my God, I get it. It's called Loose Shoes, a movie called Loose Shoes, a friend of mine shot. Comedy. Very low budget feature film. It's kind of funny though. But I'm in it and there's a panning shot and we were supposed to be I think a bunch of shorts, comic scenes. Compilation kind of thing. And so there's a panning shot where soldiers in a ward, and so we're all wounded in some way. And I don't know, there's a voiceover. So it's a kind of it's a funny shot if you know what the voice is saying and you see these wounded soldiers. So I thought, and each soldier had a funny thing, either a funny bandage or a funny thing he was doing. But I had nothing really funny. I think my head was bandaged. But I didn't think it was whatever I was doing. So I thought, I'm going to have a teacup on my head. And a teacup in a saucer, like an English teacup in a saucer, on my head, because I could balance it on that bandage that they had on my head. And I go, I go to the director, can I try to throw this little teaspoon into the cup as the camera passes by? He goes, you can't do that. I go, yeah, but even if I miss, it's kind of just funny and stupid that I have this teacup on my head. And the jokes were so funny and stupid that wasn't out of the ordinary. In other words, like, hey, man, what are you doing? No, that fit right in. So he goes, yeah, sure, do a shot. So I go up in a corner, and while they're setting everything up in the light, I'm practicing in front of a mirror, throwing this, because I'm sitting down, because we're propped up in a bed, sitting there. So I'm sitting in a chair in front of a mirror, throwing this teaspoon into the cup, and I'm not doing it. It's just bonk, bonk, bonk. And I go, hey, Larry, you're up. Get over here. So I said, okay, it doesn't matter. Even if I throw it up, the very fact that I'm doing it is funny, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So the camera comes by, and I timed it, and I throw it up, bing, lands in the cup. And I got it. It's in the film.
So then,
who knew?
Was it hard then to not sell it? Because
that.
I'm sure when you landed it, you wanted to whoop and cheer, but you obviously couldn't. So was that hard to wait for the shot to finish?
Well, yeah. I mean, I heard it because when you miss, it hits your shoulder. Bunk. You hear a bunk, but I heard clink, and nothing was falling around me. So I just had a main time, and I'm going, yes, and they got it. Yeah, but they had to wait to the end of the shot, and then the director comes over and says, "How did you do that, man?" I said, "I have no idea. I have no idea."
It's just
so,
that magic.
again, lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, absolutely. Something I'd love to ask about is obviously you find yourself on the set of one of the biggest sitcoms ever. I mean, to be honest, sir, you've been in many of my favorite shows. You've popped up in many of them, one episode here and there, and they're all incredibly funny. But
yeah.
But when you show up on the set of Seinfeld and you're playing the guy that's playing Kramer, who could be the most popular character on TV at the time, or maybe he isn't. Maybe I'm misremembering, but that must have been a moment where you thought, "Oh, now I get my version. I get to try to play Kramer." That must have been interesting.
Well, it was interesting. Oh, yeah. But now there, okay, a couple of things you have to know. And that is, one is Michael Richards and I were friends long before he was Kramer. Right. Because we would always meet each other on auditions because we were physically the same.
Right.
So we were up for a lot of the same parts. So, I mean, we weren't friends, but we would always meet at the audition. "Oh, hey, man, how you doing?" Yeah, that was all. But so I knew Michael. So when I was watching Seinfeld, and "Oh yeah, man, Michael Richards, great that he got the part." And we auditioned for the same part of Kramer, and he got it, and I didn't, and I was very happy because I mean, long before I got to audition as Kramer, we were auditioning for the part of Kramer. Mm-hmm. So I knew about the part.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was auditioning for it. I never met him in the audition process because that's a hit and miss in several different days. But so when I was watching, I said, "Hey, here's Michael. He's got that part. That's great." And he was coming through the door, really funny. And I'm thinking, yeah, man, I mean, they picked the right guy. I go under a part. He goes over a part.
Right.
So it was a totally different interpretation of how I would have done it. So I was really happy for him, nothing like. So when I got the call to be Kramer, not only wasn't it frightening, but I said, "Oh, well, yeah, I know Michael. That's cool." And I had watched Michael as Kramer so much that I thought, I can do this like butter, man. Yeah. I can, no sweat. So I was eager to get the part. And I mean, when I was asked to audition, I thought, yeah, man, okay, I want this. Yeah. I really did. And I put up with a lot of crap to get that part, let me tell you. Because first of all, it was an insult that I was called back. I thought I got it on the first, audition.
Right.
But they said, "Well, they want to call you back." I'm like, "Oh man, what are you, crazy? I'm Kramer. I can do this."
Yeah.
But when I went back, and even when I auditioned, Kramer, there was nobody who looked even like Kramer at all, like Michael Richards at all.
Yeah.
And when I was auditioning, there was a fat guy, a short guy, a bearded guy, a mustached guy, a little guy. I mean, nobody looked anything. So I was kind of insulted the whole time. Mm-hmm. And I had to audition 5 times. And each time, there was one guy in the room, the auditioners. There was Seinfeld, there was the director, there was a producer, and there was also this one weird-looking guy. And all he kept doing was saying, "Come through the door," because they wanted me to come through the door like Kramer was coming through the door. And each time, even at 5 times I auditioned, and each time he made me come through the door about 2 or 3 or 4 times. And when you go through the door, it was like you're in the audition room, but when you go out of the door, you're in the audition waiting room where all the other people are waiting to audition. Mm-hmm. It's kind of, you feel stupid, you walk out and you come in, you walk out and come in, and they're watching you. And he wasn't asking anybody else to do that when I was sitting in the room. Nobody came out and went back in.
Yeah.
So I was getting kind of PO'd, man, really. So on the 5th audition day, when on the first time, this guy again said, "All right, come through the door." when I got outside, there was a secretary, in the waiting room with all the other actors, and I just whispered over to him before I went back in the door. I just said, "Who the hell is this guy in there with the glasses? He's keeping telling me to come in and out the door." He says, "Oh, that's Larry David. He owns the show and writes it." I go, "Oh."
Oh.
Okay, fine. Because I said, because I'm going to tell that fucking guy off if he tells me to come in another time. So she said, no, that's Larry David. He's here. I go, "Oh." And then it was like, all right, whatever he wants is fine with me.
Yeah.
I went back in. If you wanted to tell me to come in, that's fine. Thank God I asked that question because I was going to unload on this guy. I still had that attitude thing, but no, I didn't. And I got it. And so I was very, very happy and pleased that, I really wanted this part and I got it. Who knows that it was going to, turn out well, but I just wanted that part, and there's very few parts I wanted because I didn't like being an actor.
Yeah,
except
exactly.
for the money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's wild. It's easy to say with hindsight and you look back on things, but I certainly could not imagine any other actor playing Kramer 2.0, because again, when you guys are on screen together, it's exactly like you say. When you say that you and Michael Richards are at all the same auditions, it makes sense, doesn't it? And the body language and the moment of the back and forth, I'm Kramer, no, I'm Kramer, I'm Kramer, no, I'm Kramer, is just classic. And it's so well done. And it's such a cool it's probably one of my favorite moments of all of Seinfeld.
Yeah, when we were doing that scene, as it was written, when we read the scene, when I read the scene and when Michael read it, and then we started to rehearse it, I knew, and I'm sure Michael knew, this is classic. Not that it would be classic for anybody else, but for him and me, and just the idea. Like when Larry David wrote that scene, he thought, "Oh, it'd be so cool to have them I'm sure in profile, across the table saying I'm Kramer." That had to be his concept, and we were doing it, and we knew, this is funny, even if nobody noticed it or thought it was funny. We liked doing that scene. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
But by the way, regarding what you just said, Michael and I at one point played brothers in a sitcom. So somebody knew and hired us because we looked alike.
Yeah.
We played two hold-up guys, two brothers, and who were always arguing and holding. So we had, in other words, that was a quintessential. No, not a quintessential, but it was a summing up of this.
Yeah.
2 years before we had played brothers, and that was sitting across the table. Yeah, I like doing that particular scene.
Yeah.
The other one was with Alexander.
With George.
Jason Alexander.
Yeah.
Where I said, or other dried fruit. That speech. Or I don't want to hear about any dried apples, pears, prunes, or any other dried fruit.
Right. Yeah.
That's a great line.
Yeah, because he's accusing you of stealing the raisins. He when
I was stealing the raisins.
Yeah.
But again, that's the writing. The writing is always so important.
Absolutely.
It's
It's such an important part of all good movies, comedy, everything. It all comes down to the writing, because that's what puts the words for you guys to paint with, the colors.
But it gives you. Yeah, it gives you an idea. It's got to be on the page. That's the. I want to be a writer. I am a writer, but that you got to kill your children as far as writing goes. Take it as far as that, and that's it. Kill what you write. And it's got to be on the page.
Absolutely.
That's for actors. That's the answer is on the page. If it's not on the page, there is no answer. And in that particular Kramer thing, the writing is brilliant on that show.
Yeah.
And also on Barry and Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
It allows you to create such iconic characters, you know, whether it's in Billy Madison, one of my favorite movies of all time, you know.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you've got some great moments in there but that you know, that's got to be good writing too, and working with Adam Sandler must have been a great experience as well.
Okay, well, I didn't enjoy that at all.
Okay.
That movie.
Okay.
Working with Adam, because he's a put-on guy. If he likes you, he puts you on, and right. I'm not into that kind of joking around.
Sure.
So he's always putting me on, and Adam Sandler. I don't think any other actor ever said. Adam Sandler was getting on my nerves. Right. I mean, he really was. So, but he did give me an opportunity. He knows what's funny. He knows his audience. I mean, as far as his talent goes, guy's brilliant. I just can't be around that kind of personality off screen.
Right.
So he would have, you know, girls. Yeah, he was a, you know, pop icon at that point. He had these young girls all around him. He had these girls calling me up at 4:00 in the morning. Oh, can I come up to your room? And you'd hear him giggling in the background. You know, I said, man, I got a 6:00 fire. You know, be on the set, man.
Yeah.
Well, you don't do that, man. I'd hang up. So one time, but he tried to be he tried to be friendly, but he would just ruin it every time. So one day we were having dinner, and he called me over. He said, Larry, come over here. You know, so I was sitting at his, and he was quizzing me, and I'm thinking he's setting me up for something. I don't know what, but why is he talking to me? He's going, hey Larry, you know, you got any jokes? No, I don't tell jokes. Oh, come on, man, you're a funny guy. You know, tell me a joke. I don't know any jokes. I'll tell you a joke, and he tells me a joke. Yeah, hey, that's pretty funny. Yeah, fine. All right, now you tell me a joke. I don't know any jokes. Well, yeah, but somebody said you did something funny. I don't know, something about something in college or what was that all about? Oh, that was a funny face. All right, well, what's a funny face? So it's a mouse thing. You know, I do it for kids, for little kids. Mm-hmm. You know, well, let me see it. So I do this face. It's a funny face. It's the face I do in a movie. Mm-hmm. So I go, blah, blah, blah. Hey, that's funny, man. And he laughed. He actually did. He laughed. I said, yeah, can I go back to my meal now? He goes, yeah, get out of here. So I go back, sit down. Okay, we're shooting that scene. Well, he introduces me to his girlfriend, and I don't know, and there's a scene where he introduces me. Mm-hmm. Carl, this is my girlfriend. And then he goes, in the middle of the scene, this just wasn't written at all. Just in the middle of that scene, he goes, and the camera's rolling. He goes, it's the first take. He goes, hey, Larry, do that funny mouse scene for her. I go, oh, no, I don't. He goes, yeah, go ahead, do it. So because the camera's rolling, and I'm like, and I'm enough of an actor to know, well, I mean, the camera's rolling, just do it. I don't have to use it, but do it. So I did it. And he goes, cool. And we go, and then he goes, and then the cut. So then we finish the scene, and he goes, okay, let's move on. And I go, oh, no, man, no. And he goes, no, we're moving on. That was pretty cool, Larry. He didn't want to shoot it again because he knew I wouldn't do it again.
Right.
And he just said, no, we're keeping that. Luckily, the scene worked the first time.
Right.
But yeah, from that on, I hated him.
Yeah, that's a betrayal.
But that's funny. It was funny.
Sure. But I guess as an actor coming up in an improv circle, you learn how important trust is. And doing that to you in front of a live camera, that's not really something you can trust, is it?
Well, no, that's where it came from. You're right. But in that instant, no, that was just a tropism, man. That was a conditioned reflex. And there was no thought involved in my choosing to go on with the scene. He just threw me a line, and I automatically just went with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a reflex. It wasn't a conscious thing, because if he would have done it again, I wouldn't have done it.
Right.
Or if I had time to think, because it was an embarrassing moment at the dinner table. Mm-hmm. I thought, man, why? When I got back to my table, I remember thinking, why did I fall for that? Why did I just you know, I mean, but there you go. People, by the way, people say that they watched that thing about 100 times. I think you just said you watched it about 100 times.
I must have.
Yeah. So about the writing, he asked me at one point, which I thought was really silly, and I told him. He said, Larry, why are you doing, he says, what do you think about the script? I go, what kind of question is that? He goes, no, man. You know, what do you think about the script? I said, Adam, I mean, you're the producer, you're the star of this show. I'm working for you. You ask me what do I think of the script? What do I want to say? It's a lousy script. Yeah. This script is the greatest script I've ever written, Adam. This is well, you know, that I've ever read. This is great. What kind of, that's still, no, don't ask me those questions. And he said, do you like being in this movie, Larry? And I go, I'm like, Adam, thank you, goodbye. And I just walked away.
Yeah.
But that's where he was off camera. You know, you put him in front of a camera, and he's kind of brilliant. And even though I didn't like the script, and I thought it was kind of rather childish, hey, that was like a big major hit. Right after that movie, he became king of Hollywood. Mm-hmm. If you wanted a movie done, get Adam Sandler in it. After that movie, mm-hmm. And after that, if you notice, all his movies after that were he controlled. All the movies after that. Mm. So, yeah, I mean, you know, he's a star, but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you talk about the script and the writing. I certainly feel very differently about that movie in my late 30s than I did as a young guy. So, you know, I mean that with all due respect, you know, but like we talk about Home Alone, timeless.
No, but he's great.
Yeah, sure.
Watching him come down the stairs singing, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Where he comes down the stairs singing. He's fucking brilliant, man. Yeah. I mean, no kidding. It's over the top. It's silly. It's buffoonery. It's, you know, I can't knock it.
No.
Not knock it.
No.
But I don't want to hang out with him.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah.
But maybe since he's got children, he's grown up. You know, maybe.
You never know. I am so grateful for your time, and I don't want to take advantage of it. I just had two other little things I wanted to talk about. If you still have a few moments, perfect. Two more of my favorite things, and one of them is really recent. But first, my listeners would be sending me hate mail if we didn't talk about the most famous sitcom of all time, and another iconic character you created. And of course, that's Mr. Heckles in, what was that show called? I can't remember. What was some show about Friends? That's the one. Of course, I was trying to be funny and I failed. Don't try to be funny with a comedian. What a great...
No. I don't relate to it like you wanted me to relate to it.
Yeah.
No, it's just Friends, man.
Yeah.
I forget that name too.
Yeah. But a great experience. The show was obviously massive. Was that?
Oh, yeah. Massive now.
Yeah. I mean, do you still have people?
Of the new generation.
Yeah, of course. I mean, with the Netflix and the streaming world. So do you now get a new group of people? Do you get new younger people now recognizing you saying, are you Mr. Heckles?
Yeah. All of a sudden I was dead. Mr. Heckles is dead for years. And now all of a sudden Mr. Heckles lives. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, he's back up there telling us to keep the noise down again.
Yeah, right. And, you know, it's just amazing. And I didn't really think I was doing anything. I was just, again, I was for the first 6 shows before it was on the air. So nobody was famous. It wasn't even on the air.
Right.
You know, and I had it, you know, You Owe Me a Cat. I was just making money to make my little films.
Of course.
I didn't think it was anything. I'll tell you a little secret about that scene, though. That cat scratched the hell out of what's her name? But you know, you see that cat fighting. I don't know if you remember the scene.
Yeah.
But there's a scene where cat is trying to get out of her hands. Well, that cat had its claws out trying to get out of her. So that was the only time that was filmed.
Right.
They didn't want to. Her arm was all scratched up. It was bloody.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But she kept acting. She kept saying her lines. I would have just thrown the cat out against the wall, man.
Yeah.
She's a trooper. Wow, they were all pretty talented.
Yeah. Obviously going on to be the most successful sitcom ever, arguably, so they must have been.
Really?
Yeah,
Holy cow.
apparently it's one of the biggest shows ever. There must have been different things. Obviously, you go to Seinfeld, and Seinfeld is already established. Friends doesn't get the big boom until way later. So then you're kind of looking back at it going, oh, I was there kind of early days. That must have been a completely different, but also really cool experience.
Well, I was there the first time when they weren't on the air. I was just a Chandler and a girl trapped in an ATM thing. And I was just watching that scene and thinking, hey, that guy who became Chandler, he's pretty funny. He's really talented. You could see that right away. Mm-hmm. And they weren't even on the air, and he wasn't famous. I didn't know who he was, but yeah. And then I was there about 3 years later because my five shows were over a period of 5 years or 4 years. So I saw them at various stages. Mm-hmm. So it was incredible to see the changes. I was there the day we were rehearsing where Chandler actually ran in with Variety. He wasn't in the scene I was rehearsing, and he just ran in on the set. He goes, hey, everybody, we're number one. We're number one. And so they all, cheered and stuff. And then for the rest of the time, every time they broke, all they would talk about was their houses or renting their houses or buying a house or paving their driveway. Mm-hmm. I mean, all of a sudden they were rich. They weren't unknowns. They were now number one. And then after that, then they started to just, become obnoxious. And, I guess that's what money does, I mean, I guess. Money changes you. Mm-hmm. It does. Anybody says it doesn't, you've never been rich. Mm-hmm. You get a lot of money in your pocket. I guess maybe it changes. Maybe you don't change, but another part of your personality starts to flourish. Yeah. It's really weird. And I'm not saying it was good or bad. It was just kind of I could tell the difference. That was all. Mm-hmm. And then some get a sitcom, another sitcom, and some don't, and some blah, blah, blah. And as a matter of fact, Chandler went through some very hard times.
Certainly, yeah.
So it does affect money. There's no fighting it. You just got to be prepared if you're going to do that.
Absolutely.
Get rich. If you're going to get rich, be prepared.
Be prepared, absolutely. And then the final thing I wanted to talk about, it's something I've watched a few times now, which I really, really enjoyed, and that's something that's probably much closer to your heart and a passion project, which is Just a Question.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now you're talking about the good stuff.
Absolutely.
That's my little film short.
Yeah.
That's my little film short. And, it's kind of the sum total of all of them. You just keep on doing them until that one was a hit a note. That one I finally put kind of everything together. The guy, the writing, the team, the Ramones. Mm-hmm. That was shot with three people. Me, the director, and the cinematographer, sound man. One guy. Right. Cinematographer, sound man. And that was the dream. That was it. What I had thought about when I was thinking about the Ramones way back in the day. And then we did another one, and I just did a third one. Same people. Mm-hmm. And then there was an editor and then a music guy. Matt, oh man, I forgot his name. Matt Kinster-Starnes edited it. Leon Rubenhold was the musician. Roy Eisenstein was the director. It was a band. We were just a group. Mm-hmm. I wrote it like a singer-songwriter, and I went to Roy and I said, "Hey man, let's shoot this," because he does that all the time. Shoot these little one-man things that he writes and has an actor do it. So he has about 50 of them on. So I went to him and I said, hey, you got your group together. You got a writer. You write them. You direct them. You got a cinematographer. You got an editor. I'll get a musician to write the music. So we got a band.
Yeah.
Great. So we shot it. And this third one, I think I hit it again. It'll come out in a month. I'll put it up on Facebook. I don't know even the name of it. Right now, the working title is You Never Know. Mm-hmm. Or maybe You Never Know, You Never Know. Mm-hmm. But that's the title. But that one's as good or better than the question. Yeah. But that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. And then I got a book coming out. I just wrote a book called The Loopholes Dossier. It's a satire. It's pretty funny. It's just funny stories, like fables and stories and biographies, but they're all satires. Right. So The Loophole Dossier, and that's coming out. And then I got this big movie coming out in late fall. So so I'm kind of, and then I'm just going to do my own projects after that. And I'm just going to do like maybe do a feature. Yeah. I don't know. Well, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
we'll just see.
Yeah, because Just a Question specifically is beautifully written, wonderfully acted, and it's funny too. But it's also underlying sad, right? Because that character, he's incredibly sad.
Well, that's the character one. Yeah, that's the character I've been working on for years. Yeah, I did The Outlaw Emmett Demas was a film that. It's up on there. They're all up on YouTube or Vimeo. Yeah. But I've been working on that character, and it finally came together consciously, not capturing lightning in a bottle, but working on it and aiming for something and pulling it off. That's cool.
Absolutely.
To do.
Absolutely. And what's the film that comes out in the fall? Are you allowed to tell us?
Well, I know I can't. You'll know it.
All right.
You'll know it. It's going to be big, and I got a really cool part in it. And I want to, I think, release the book, the Loopholes Dossier, when it comes out. So it's late fall.
All right.
If you want to do another interview about my book, then late fall or early winter is when they're both coming out.
Certainly.
But and so right now I'm just writing.
Excellent.
That's what I want to do, is just write.
Yeah. Well, I'm super glad to hear you're still working and you're still enjoying your creativity. I can't wait to read the book and see this wonderful film. And I want to thank you not only for talking to me today, but also for the years of entertainment that I've gotten from you. It's greatly appreciate all the years of happiness you get from, for you, like you say, it was just these TV shows you did. You got a paycheck and you produced your own projects. Nothing wrong with that. But it also means a lot to the people that watched it 100 times. So thank you from all of us for that as well.
Well, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. That's really cool.
Next time on MattLees Gets Creative.
Magic was almost more of a problem-solving exercise for me. It was something to engage my brain. I was always fascinated with puzzles, and I liked that side of it, and that's what drew me in. The fact that then you had the extra bonus of being able to fool people and get smiles, reactions off people, and try and make it an emotional connection was a mass appeal then when I got into it again.
That's right, a magical episode of MattLees Gets Creative awaits us all next week. Can't wait for you all to hear it. Don't forget to follow us on social media at ML Gets Creative for Twitter and Instagram. You can email mattleesgetscreative@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Please don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to this and maybe leave a review. Tell a friend, leave us a 5-star rating. You know the deal. It really, really helps us. And speaking of helping us, maybe check out our Patreon program. We're trying to take your kindness and pay it forward. Oh, and as always, thanks for listening.